Bermuda, Miss Grange, Mrs. Williams, Mrs. Malou Fort, Dr. Tufton, Mr. McKenzie, Mr. Chuck, Mr. Vaz, Mr. Warmington, Mr. Hutchinson, Mr. Charles, Mr. Green, Mr. Terry Long, Miss Smith, Mr. Main, Dr. Dunn, Mrs. Cuthbert Flynn, Mr. Morgan, Mr. Davis, Mr. Brown, Dr. Brownberg, Dr. Charles, Mr. Chin, Mr. Clark, Mr. Cousins, Miss Crawford, Miss Daly, Miss Davis, Mr. Golding, Mr. Graham, Dr. Guy, Miss Hamilton, Miss Hannah, Mr. Henriquez, Mr. Henry, Mr. Hilton, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Lawrence, Miss Lee, Mr. Miller, Miss Morrison, Miss Nita, Mr. Paulwell, Mr. Phillips, Dr. Phillips, Mr. Robertson, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Sibbles, Mr. Slowly, Mrs. Vaz, Dr. Wheatley, Mr. Williams, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Witter, Mr. Wright.
Statements by ministers. Announcements.
Laid on the table of the House today is a copy of the Integrity Special Report of Investigation concerning allegations of irregularity in the use of the required material in the construction of drywall partitions and ceiling boards for the renovation and expansion of the Physiotherapy Department, University of the West Indies.
Bills brought from the Senate, petitions, papers, reports from committees, notices of motions given orally, questions and answers to questions, motions that may be made at the commencement of public business requiring notice, motions relating to sittings of the House, motions for leave to introduce bills, presentation of bills without leave of the House first obtained, public business.
Madam Speaker, today we resume the sectoral debate, and the designated speakers are Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, CD MP Minister of National Security, and Mr. Hugh Graham, MP Opposition Spokesperson on Commerce, Science and Technology. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Dr. Chang.
Madam Speaker, first I ask permission to speak from a seat other than my own.
Dr. Chang, you have permission to speak from a seat other than your own.
And then to take your mask off.
Yes, I will take my mask off, but I speak from this seat because the convenience every two mics, which makes it easier. I'm not the loudest speaker, but it's also significant. I sit between two wonderful ladies who are critical partners. And of course, right beside, to the right and behind the Prime Minister. No, I will comment that word there. Madam Speaker, this is the first sectoral presentation as Minister of National Security for the new term of office. It comes in the middle of the COVID-19 public health pandemic, which, when added to the chronic epidemic of violence in our society, signals that the country is going through two major crises at this time. The novel coronavirus has derailed a number of critical aspects of our government's plans. However, we remain resolute in ensuring violence reduction, increased public safety, and good order in our country. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, I'll give you a little anecdote from my constituency as I go in there during this time a little bit, not as frequent as I used to, but I had a very, what I'd call, wise discussion yesterday from one of my constituency speakers. Thursday in rural Jamaica, for the week the pay is the weekday financially. And there's an old expression in Jamaica, they call it Ben Johnson Day. Yeah. So in talking to my colleagues, they said, they haven't seen for a while, they said, well, one man said, boy, boss, the COVID thing puts all of us on Ben Johnson Day. I said, the whole country. My reply, of course, was, be patient. Under this leadership of Andrew Honis, Friday will come, bigger and better. I wish to acknowledge and thank the Prime Minister for his continued confidence in allowing me to serve in this capacity. My appointment to the position of Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security speaks to the level of responsibility with which I have been entrusted. I wish to assure the Prime Minister and his Cabinet that his mission and charge will be carried out successfully. I wish to express my appreciation to my Cabinet colleagues and to remind them that it is our responsibility with this renewed mandate to maintain and further develop the social, economic, and national security imperatives of the country. Given the impact of COVID-19, we must continue to be innovative in our approach to all aspects of nation building. To my fellow parliamentarians on both sides of the aisle, the general election of September 3rd ushers a new term in our parliament and the beginning of a new era, having now the largest number of female members of parliament since independence. So, Madam Speaker, analysis beside yourself, the chair will show that we have some 30% of our parliament as female, which in fact we are making some international benchmarks. And I have to speak to it, I got to take some credit. And when I identify and decide on the largest number of female candidates, and we have a wonderful, talented group of Indeed, we have a significant pool of young first-term members and a good showing of the experienced veterans. This is the will of the people. It is an opportunity for us to deliver strong legislation relevant to our times and in keeping with the needs of Jamaica. They have given us the personnel, they have given us the majority. We cannot fail. The people of Jamaica are counting on us on this side. To my constituency in Northwest St. James, my deepest appreciation for entrusting me with representing you for the 5th consecutive term. Ooh. The first time for any MP. I will continue to serve you with the sincerity and commitment. Northwest St. James has long been the political axis for the parish of St. James and for the Western region. As a matter of interest, Northwest St. James elected the first female member of parliament in 1944, one Miss Iris Collins, first under the Jamaica Labour Party banner as well. MP Collins was a woman for a time and has set the stage for today's historic showing of a strong contingent of women in this parliament. Over the years, much work has been done to improve the human, social, and infrastructural development of the constituency. Over the last 40 years in particular, Montego Bay has been the center of Jamaica's vital and rich tourism industry and the mecca of innovation and enterprise, where the now leaders in business process outsourcing sector and all services associated with the resort industry. I must commend the efforts of my constituency team, and I say the finest political team in the island, joined by Senator Charles Sinclair, the Mayor Leroy Williams, Councillor Joshua Cummings, and David Brown. The management team and its chairman, Mr. Norman Brown, party workers, civil society groups, community groups, church leaders who have all played critical roles in the development of Northwest St. James. I wish to express my profound thanks and appreciation. That's the part we work as in the out there, everybody. And the church groups and the civil society. We work as one team. To the staff of the ministry and our agencies, led by our Permanent Secretary, Courtney Williams, and the senior management team, my team of consultants, administrators, and the close protection officers assigned to me. These professionals work assiduously to ensure that the national security policies, legislation, the programs, and critically the budget are advanced and remain on track. Permanent Secretary Williams joined the team in October last year, coming from the Ministry of Finance. He assumed direction of the ministry's administrative staff at an opportune time, given the onset of COVID-19. Thank you for all your tireless efforts in advancing the national security imperatives. Special mention must be made on my colleague, Minister without Portfolio, Senator Matthew Samuda, who continues to approach this work with tremendous commitment and energy. This makes the Ministry of National Security the only ministry outside of the Office of the Prime Minister and the big ministry he oversees, Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, that has 2 cabinet ministers. It reflects the priority given to the work of the Ministry of National Security by this government, recognizing the magnitude of the work and the challenges faced by this ministry and its agencies. Minister Samuda brought a necessary and renewed focus to the Department of Correctional Services and the appropriate review and ministerial oversight to the Private Security Regulation Authority. I won't comment on these here. There are other times when the comments are quite different. Minister Samuda provided invaluable support and guidance to the control reentry program of COVID-19 response. Jamaica was a step ahead of the game in this particular area. In addition, his coordination of the e-commerce national delivery system with several other ministries, local government, and in the Ministry of Industrial and Commerce has ensured that economic activities conducted during curfew hours are seamless and safe. This government and the Ministry of National Security in particular continues to demonstrate tremendous adaptability so that people of Jamaica can live and earn safely in spite of COVID-19. To my wife Paulette and my children Melissa and Martin, words cannot express the measure of my gratitude for your constant and unwavering support over the years. Every member of Parliament knows that the demands of representational responsibility can come at a very high cost to our families. I count myself blessed for having this strong support from my family that has stayed by me through this remarkable journey. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of National Security is designed to ensure the effective management of our borders, provide public safety and good order in our society, and to safeguard the lives and livelihoods of our people. The Central Ministry staff coordinates national security policy, legislation, project implementation, and the budget. The Ministry also provides administrative support to Jamaica Defence Force, which is the Ministry of Defence under the Prime Minister, but we provide the required administrative support, and said the Prime Minister is the Commander-in-Chief and the Secretary. The work of the Ministry is executed through 9 agencies, often forgotten, but very critical. These include, of course, the Jamaica Constabulary Force. It is not only our principal law enforcement agency, but critically, it is the face of security in our country. The success or failure of the Jamaica Constabulary Force is largely what provides the yardstick for measuring the success or failure of national security in Jamaica. Notwithstanding, it is the integrated and coordinated work of all 9 agencies that will guarantee sustainable violence prevention and crime reduction in our society. Other agencies, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency, is the newest of our law enforcement institutions and treats with corruption and cybercrimes in a very targeted and strategic way. Its anti-corruption mandate has resulted in several landmark cases being brought to court. MOCA also plays a critical role in cyber defense, ensuring that our networks and systems are protected, hackers identified and intercepted, and corrected as necessary. Our MOCA officers continue to execute their duties in a highly proficient and professional manner. They don't make a lot of noise, but they get the job done. MOCA's appointed date of notice April 1, 2021. The Oversight Committee has been established and the institutional arrangements are being settled with the Ministry of Finance. Third, the Passport Immigration and Citizenship Agency, which is well known for its high-quality service, continues to play a pivotal role in the management and control of our borders. Their security role is very rarely recognized, unfortunately. PIC has a direct responsibility for monitoring movement of citizens and non-citizens through our ports, which is crucial to ensuring that we can interrupt transnational crime, which is one of our biggest challenges today. PIC works seamlessly with the police, the Maritime, Air and Cyber Command Battalion of the Jamaica Defence Force, Jamaica Customs Agency, to ensure that our borders are not breached by persons who may wish to cause our people harm. The agency received International Organization of Standardization, ISO 9001, in 2050 certification last year for its passport services. Furthermore, PICA's introduction and expansion of the automated border crossing kiosk facilitated the controlled re-entry of our nationals following COVID-19 outbreak. PICA rolled out its mobile passport offices, online passport application, and adult passport renewal application system last year. By moving the process online in the height of the public health pandemic, PICA guaranteed continuity of service and access to one of the most critical forms of identification, our national passport. At this stage, through partnership with the UK government, PICA now has a document forensic laboratory, the first of its kind in the region. This is a crucial activity for enhancing the level of safety and security of our borders. The Passport Immigration and Citizenship Agency will continue to provide high-quality service to facilitate the identity and travel needs of our people. PICA is moving to the 21st century, effectively. And I may note, Madam Speaker, as I proceed to see that the ministry, several areas of the ministry is looking at getting ISO 9000 approval to demonstrate improvement in our administrative capacity and quality of our service. The Firearm Licensing Authority has the responsibility of standardizing and streamlining all the attendant processes of granting, renewal, and revocation of firearm license. An online application tracking system and the acquisition of 2 new laser engraving machines last year are some of the cutting-edge technology that will improve the management of the firearm industry. The laser machines will mark every single legal firearm that comes to the country, and that will be in addition to the manufacturer markings, and therefore we'll know at first that all legal firearms in Jamaica and can track them at any one point in time. Critical in managing the system. The next agency, Madam Speaker, is a most crucial agency. Again, and for good reason, like we spoke about. The Institute of Forensic Science and Legal Medicine plays a critical role in law enforcement. It has been upgraded and modernized by this government. Despite the skepticism and the many repeats and start and stops, we will break ground for the autopsy suite later this year on Orange Street, downtown. By short order. Upon completion, it will give us a forensic pathology unit that is comparable to any in the globe, anywhere. Last year, the Institute upgraded and increased its DNA and ballistics analytical capabilities to include the operationalization of the national DNA database. A matter that was of some concern at one point, but it was done correctly, took some time, and is now fully operational. With these enhanced efficiencies and skills, Institute is poised to make an even greater contribution to the administration of justice in Jamaica. Of note, Madam Speaker, for the set of trials that were scheduled in Home Circuit Court for 2021, my friend Minister of Justice, 2021 Easter term, the Institute has already completed its work and issued the ballistic certificates for 99% of the cases ahead of receiving requests. And when this data was collected, I was assured by the director that they'll be 100% today when I speak. This tells us that Institute of Forensic Science This tells us that the Institute of Forensic Science and Legal Medicine is responding in real time to the needs of its stakeholders. Furthermore, their work has been crucial to the reactivation. I emphasize, Madam Speaker, the work of the Institute has been very crucial to the reactivation and solving of several cold cases because of the ease with which they can get DNA and ballistic databases and compare with what was there before. We now fight crime with irrefutable scientific evidence. Madam Speaker, the Institute of Forensic Science and Legal Medicine recently launched its website. I invite all Jamaicans to learn more about the groundbreaking work that is being done at the Institute by visiting www.ifslmja.gov.jm. Forensic science is the new frontier of law enforcement towards swift and sure justice. Madam Speaker, the sixth department, the Department of Correctional Services, manages the various centers of incarceration and correctional facilities, plays a critical role in crime prevention. While our rate of incarceration is low, the recidivism rate is high. We are working to correct this. We are working to overcome this, and further details on the work being done to strengthen the Department of Correctional Service will be addressed by the Minister without portfolio during his State of Nation debate in the Senate. Madam Speaker, the other three agencies within the national security architecture are not always prominent, but they carry their weight of importance. These include the Private Security Regulatory Authority, has been growing in importance and regulates an industry of over 30,000 private security personnel, one of the largest service sectors in the island. The Caribbean Regional Drug Law Enforcement Training Center, Red Track, is not one of a high profile, but is certainly important in the training and development of specialized security personnel in Jamaica. And for the Caribbean, Jamaica Command Cadet Corps is important for youth engagement alongside the Jamaica National Service Corps, operated primarily through the Jamaica Defense Force, but they play a critical role in youth engagement. Madam Speaker, a common feature that the public will observe across all the agencies of national security is the incorporation at this time and utilization of technology to strengthen their processes. Across the entire national security architecture, our agencies have ramped up their modernization efforts and have adopted more innovative approaches to their service delivery. The integrated and coordinated work of these 9 agencies is the backbone of Jamaica's security and public safety. Their programs and initiatives secure our borders, our cyber and telecommunication networks, our business, communities, and our families. As I noted earlier, the overall success of national security is contingent on the collective and coordinated effort of the entire national security architecture. But, as indicated, the Jamaica Constabulary Force stands as first among equals, if you put it that way. Maybe more than equals. Yeah. It is to the Jamaica Constabulary Force that the people look, and we have recognized the challenges and are taking steps to modernize the Jamaica Constabulary Force and stand towards a safer society. Madam Speaker, on the plan to secure Jamaica, the government policy has been to reduce criminal violence, improve public safety, and strengthen the institutional and operational capacity of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Violent crimes remain the primary focus of the public, and for good reason. The loss of life or injury to any Jamaican citizen is a trauma to all Jamaicans, whether domestic, criminal, or otherwise. We will continue to provide the necessary legislative, policy and program directives and budget support to bring about sustainable reduction in criminal violence. Madam Speaker, I wish to recall the wise words of the Most Honourable Hugh Graham, who in 1967 urged police officers to, and I quote, proceed without reservation and without restriction to tackle the problems of violence and bring wrongdoers to justice in whatever way can be done. On that occasion, the late Prime Minister underscored the point further and said, when it comes to handling crime in this country, I do not expect any policeman, when he tackles a criminal, to recite any beatitude to him. the police cannot tackle a wrongdoer and talk about blessed are the meek. The late Hugh Graham was a man of reason and avid and outstanding negotiating skills, but he understood the challenges of violence that we face in some areas and was willing to face them square on and professionally. Madam Speaker, it's a good note to recall at this point in time. Madam Speaker, for too long, successive administration and the people of Jamaica have contended with deeply entrenched culture of criminal violence in our society. While we must persist with the non-violence approach as exposed by the then Prime Minister, it is critical that we adopt a holistic, modern, and integrated strategy to combating criminal violence as outlined in Plan Secure Jamaica. The drive towards sustainable reduction in criminal violence demanded an aggressive reorganization and modernization of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. While it is the role of the police to save lives, sustainable reduction of criminal violence must be a whole of government, all of society approach, as outlined in Plan Secure Jamaica by this government. We must facilitate a process of behavior change among our people in order to reduce the prevailing culture of violence that underpins much of the criminal activities in our country. In my presentation today, I will provide an update on the modernization of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the Ministry's legislative agenda, and our whole of government approach to social investment. Madam Speaker, Project Rock, Rebuild, Overhaul and Construct, was initiated by the Ministry to transform all police facilities into modern professional working spaces that are user-friendly to the external clients and to the officers. In order to determine the scope of the repairs to prioritize needs, the Ministry commissioned an engineering survey. I want to repeat, we did not just go about looking at station and start working or calling fellow MPs, whether from this side or that side. It was approached in a totally objective manner. So we commissioned an engineering survey of all 186 police facilities across the island. Based on that report, a program of work was created. Indeed, the engineer identified 1, 2, 3 categories of police stations. 1 is a station needing minor repairs to be operated. 2 required major rehabilitation, and 3 need to be demolished and rebuilt. Based on that report, a program of work was created of all the facilities needed to work. Rehabilitation work continues, however, where emergencies arise, such as those involving sewage and leaks. To that we respond promptly, but we have a program of work that we'll stick to, that we are managing. While we may have had a little bit of a setback this year, as indicated by the emerging pandemic, the work continues, and we follow a program. Under Project Rock, we have renovated 101 police facilities, constructed 5 new police stations for the Ministry, and the others, with the support and the direction of the Prime Minister, the National Housing Trust is projected to construct and renovate 12 facilities, and the Jamaica Social Investment will construct and renovate 8. And in fact, they have completed much of their work. The Mount Salem station is there to be reopened, Bogawk is there for reopening, Adelphi, and a number of other stations across the island, because they were done on the basis of the needs of the community at the time. The Ministry will be rebuilding 3 additional facilities. We'll be building 3 additional to include the autopsy suite that I've announced. This year budget is set to begin that process, and we will rebuild the Savama divisional headquarters. Spanish Town will come a little bit later, but those will be done. A further 14 facilities are projected to be renovated under Project Rock during this financial year. But the Savama station will begin. That police station is one of the busiest in the island, but it's in a more dilapidated condition. In fact, I have to commend the officers who have worked there. They have been doing very well, but anyone who visits that station will understand the conditions were atrocious. The CIB, which is maybe one of the busiest in the island, had their offices on a veranda, the old-time big veranda, but they had to move the desk around to put down the boards that were still solid, because half the boards were falling apart, and you'd have the desk falling through. But they still continue to deal with one of the highest violence rates in the island, and do so quite effectively. The men and women of that station, but throughout the force, need to be commended for working effectively under very challenging circumstances. If I may go back to a former Prime Minister who said it was a matter of reason, I want to claim it, but I say the men and women of the Jamaica Constabulary Force are now working in better conditions built by Labour. Madam Speaker, we have established domestic violence intervention centres at designated police stations. 4 of these centres are already operational, another 6 will be opened later this year. Over 300 police officers are already sensitized and trained to support the work of domestic violence intervention centres. In the coming months, we'll have an entire cadre of police officers who are sensitized and attuned to all forms of intimate partner and family violence, and who are adequately prepared to take mitigating steps. In the long run, the JCF will move to institutionalize domestic violence sensitization of all police officers, starting with the trainers, the trainer program that will be rolled into the coming weeks. Justice of the Peace and volunteer chaplains are being trained to provide intervention and support alongside the police. We consider it a critical policy shift to emphasize the issue dealing with domestic violence, which is a scourge in our society. Madam Speaker, going hand in hand with the high-quality physical working condition is the suite of cutting-edge technology available to our police officers. We are taking the necessary steps to modernize our police force and are aggressively bringing into the 21st century with the requisite tools to ensure impact and sustainability. The Commissioner of Police has set out a systematic process of expansion and enhancement of the technology infrastructure. The technology branch was established in 2019 with the mandate to coordinate as well as develop and assume responsibility for all technologies adopted by the JCF. Patrol cars are now equipped with the JCF Smart Check system, which provide officers, as you can see on the screen, provide officers with real-time access to database. This has allowed police officers to ascertain details on drivers, vehicles on our roads, and to check on persons of interest, stolen motor vehicles, traffic ticket warrants, and outstanding traffic tickets. With this capability, officers can act quickly and decisively even while on regular patrol. This is a remarkable.
Talk about it for years, we do it.
Indeed. And we continue, Madam Speaker. The operational police station, and you're a lawyer who have operated there, rely on the use of approximately 15 hardcover notebooks that they call the register and diaries, including the big station diary we know about. So everything is going, policeman's pen, and write and write. In fact, a friend of mine told me recently, one of his friends was taken to a police station, and the investigating officer took about half an hour folding the paper and doing manual, right? Manual formatting, because I'm have to write the way that everybody can read. You know, it's a system set up.
A skill to write in those diaries.
A skill to write in diaries. But the main, this is a big book. In addition to these 15 diaries, there are 27 hard copy forms for different things that the police officers have to fill out. This has been going on for nearly 100 years. I have to say, the men have been great in surviving the period successfully. This practice is a most inefficient use of valuable police time. Skilled professionals, Madam Speaker, under this government and the policies advocated by this Prime Minister, these will be things of the past as we introduce a new suite of automated station management system this year. And I speak confidently, Madam Speaker, and we know that things take time when we get procurement, but the contract for this is already awarded, work has started, and the security strengthening program, we know during the course of this year we'll get this going, right? These include three categories essentially, but in, on different platforms, but accessible through the system. A station record management system, which will include a big book, a case management system especially dedicated to dealing with the prosecutor side, and an asset management system that will deal with all aspects of police work, assets, police station repair, requests for material, and everything. There's a diary, Madam Speaker, you can tell me that. And the members, there's a diary for the lockups for all those who are held in lockup, and a diary for the diary that they receive. How long that is? It is an absolutely inefficient system. Working with this kind of system, how can we expect the officers to be continuous, successful, and effective? We are really putting undue pressure on our highest young professionals in the police force. We are changing that. And certainly bring about modern internal and business processes to the constabulary force. In addition to that, we are not forgetting our incarcerated individuals. We have to manage our jail as moderns, in a modern way. We are procuring an electronic jail management system to digitize custodial management operations. The procurement process is far advanced, and that too will come on being this year. Mr. Speaker, the long-awaited electronic traffic ticketing management system will be launched in June of this year.
Next month.
Yes, it was a long and tedious process. Frustrating, more than frustrating. But I consider the experience, Madam Speaker, that was not only frustrating but instructive. Because I learned firsthand how to work between multiple government agencies. This Prime Minister has spoken over and over a program operating in silos. Now we have had to use that as a simple example, but critical to public order, to cross 5 agencies. And it was indeed an instructive period, but we are better at it now, and we launch in June. And at the base of that, it will become the foundation for a generic ticketing system that will make a big difference to public order and necessary for the work. Jamaica Zero National CCTV surveillance program is a critical part of our technology trust and a crucial force multiplier. Development and expansion of this program is ongoing, with significant number of cameras being deployed in downtown Kingston across the island. Currently, we have 840 cameras up. We have another 500 in stock to be deployed, and the backup, so the back room can host up to 2,000 individual instruments. But we have the system in place, and that can be expanded serially very easily. Madam Speaker, the use of the CCTV surveillance in conjunction with improved police communication. Now, I want to emphasize this, Madam Speaker, because no one component of our work is a panacea and a solution. It's the combination of efforts with trained police officers, human resource, that makes this thing work. So the combination with the communication, the mobility has contributed to increased agility, efficiency, and effectiveness of police operations. And I'm confident that the public has come to appreciate this tremendous value in our crime control and crime prevention efforts. There have been a few dramatic results. The recent event at Trafalgar and Hookwood was maybe quite dramatic, but it hit viral and everybody saw it, but there are many others. In fact, for me, one of the most dramatic and maybe most rewarding, well, similar to what happened at Trafalgar Wood. There was one team that went off into the hills of Clarendon, murdered someone way up in the hills. And by the time we got back the report on radio, we were able to communicate that to all our assets out in the area. The car was noticed coming back to return to Kingston, and an off-duty police officer, picking up on radio, intercepted them at the toll road, and we were to arrest and apprehend 2 murderers. The ability of the police to communicate and be mobile is most critical in ensuring we can mitigate the damage crime, and we'll get on top of it all. Right? The ability of the police to communicate efficiently by both voice and data over several communication media is critical to its effective policing. The JCF microwave network has been upgraded and expanded, more than tripling its capacity and adding about 90 new links. The microwave system is built to be resilient and ensure connectivity to internet between all police stations. I want to assure the country the infrastructure of the Jamaica Constabulary Force is built to public safety standards, that is, with resilience, with greater rigor than even the commercial standards. The police telecommunication infrastructure is more resilient and better able to withstand even hurricane force winds or other natural disaster. It will be the best in the country in terms of its strength and efficiency. this government has put in place an effective communication system for the police. I recall in my first presentation, I made a point that on Barney Street in Montego Bay, the police car that was 1 block from the supermarket being robbed couldn't hear the call, and the car that was a mile away in traffic was trying to get there in time while an armed robbery was being committed. That will not happen again under this government. Madam Speaker, the 119 Police Emergency Communication System has been upgraded to a new platform in order to handle calls from the public more reliably and efficiently. And comments, Madam Speaker, the mobility, reliable mobility, quality communication, along with what we established, trained police officers, is absolutely necessary for effective policing. And I may point out between 2016 and 17 and 2019 and 2020, 1,092 motor vehicles were purchased for the Jamaica Constabulary Force. This figure included cars, pickups, SUVs, buses, trucks, and bikes, compared to 2014-15 when 3 vehicles were purchased. 3. And we are doing it on an ongoing basis. We no longer wait until the vehicles mash up. We pick up another batch. And they are new purpose-built adopt police vehicles. Everybody in Jamaica see them now. We see them on the street, operational and respectful. Indeed, Madam Speaker, the public would have had a first answer of the improved response and agility of the police force. Central to this level of operational effectiveness is having the benefit of a fleet of fit-for-purpose vehicles. When this improved mobility is combined with a quality communication system, a properly trained staff and equipped police emergency center, cutting-edge technology, highly skilled, competent law enforcement officers, the crucial element, the human element, will increasingly see police quick apprehension of criminals after they commit their acts. Importantly, Madam Speaker, the fact that one of these recent incidents took place within the corporate area at peak hours without injury to bystanders further highlights the highly skilled professionals that we have operating within the police force. They have an outline of the vehicles we have distributed across the island, but I pause again for a few seconds. My time is going, but the incident referred to demonstrated not only the agility, it was the emergency center was able to call on patrol vehicles specifically. New Kingston 1, go to a point. In heavy traffic, it was the nearest asset we had. But to ensure that the criminals did not escape, the introduction of the QR team, the quick response part of the mobile team, was right behind them. And for some who might be a little bit skeptical that the young man who was firing was doing so with some level of responsibility, I want to assure the public the men are trained to deal with that kind of situation. Anyone of us who have been have an opportunity to visit a short combat range will see how effectively they are trained. He would not take it, he could do what he was doing effectively and efficiently without hurting anybody else. We trained them well, and he operated like a professional. The other officer, who in fact many know, was a young lady. She's part of the traffic enforcement branch, and her vest was not bulletproof, and therefore she acted more cautiously. She was confident in her duty, but she had to seek action to prevent bodily harm to herself. She was, in fact, a very good officer. And that's why she was operating a little more cautiously. The officers are well trained, and every effort is made to ensure they know how to operate in these difficult circumstances. Madam Speaker, we have expanded the capacity of the police force to train up to 1,500 new recruits per year. This is important because we have to not only put in the first multipliers, we need to expand our force back to what is required of us, which is about 14,000 establishment. But we're not going to rush it. It's not just men on the boots on the ground. We're going to train them well and train them effectively that you can have confidence in the operation. We have acquired Tranquil Bay in St. Elizabeth. We have refurbished Harmon Barracks and carried out significant work at the National Police College. Recruit training was affected by COVID-19 during this year, and therefore we're down to about 50%. And you'll see something on the screen again where the part of the training. We intend to get to the 1,000 this year, and by next year, the 1,500 mark, as we seek to bring the numbers up. But we need the force multipliers and an adequate number of manpower. It's important, however, Madam Speaker, that our training facilities are in good physical condition. It conveys a positive message to the young, bright and ambitious Jamaicans seeking to serve the police, Jamaica through the police force. In addition to fixing their facilities, we ensure that all instructors are trained in the modern way of policing before they are placed in the training facilities. This is one of the priorities of this Commissioner, and it is critical in our development. Madam Speaker, as the Commissioner of Police and his team continue this team of leadership, all Jamaica senior officers, the deliberate and strategic transformation of the JCF, the reorganization process extended to a number of formations. Intelligence Bureau has been strengthened and is working efficiently and well. The Counter-Terrorism and Organized Investigation Branch has been so strengthened and refocused on dealing with high-value criminal targets and gangs across the island. The Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch has been expanded with the addition of the Metro Quick Response Team that I alluded to earlier. When that team was introduced in Montego Bay recently, the homicide rate downtown Montego Bay has dropped dramatically by more than 50%. They were just introduced in March of this year in Carpet. And it is notable, Madam Speaker, not celebrating victory or anything yet, but the homicide rate in the Carpet area since the introduction of the care team is significantly down. In fact, without shouting aloud, I say, for the first time in a long time, we are behind last year's figures in this month. And they're not doing me a favor, they're just hard work, good work by the police officers. We are moving in the right direction, Madam Speaker. A further cohort of quick response officers will be trained and added to the units, and the intention is to bring them to all the high-density populated urban centres across the island, in St. Catherine, Clarendon, and elsewhere. Madam Speaker, the restructured Inspectorate and Professional Standards Bureau continues to ensure that ethical and professional standards of the force are maintained. I consider this, Madam Speaker, one of the most critical adjustments in the police force. You cannot establish ethical and professional standards by an agency outside of the force. Our men, we have the talent, the capacity, and the quality to lay out the standards required for effective policing. This bureau, Madam Speaker, you'll recall, there was a time they had a place called No Man's Land on Duke Street, where they sent officers who they felt were out of touch, not only necessarily professionally, but who was upset, who the Commissioner was upset with or otherwise. It's a kind of hiding post of officers who they felt had a problem. It is the Inspectorate and Professional Branch made up of capable police officers who will ensure that we don't need outsiders to tell the force what to do. They internally set professional standards crucial to successful policing. And a note for Madam Speaker, the police force too is pursuing ISO 9001 quality management certification. We have already identified Matilda's Corner, Duane Park, and the Police Emergency Center as those entities that will first be sought to be given the certification. Madam Speaker, over the last 50 years, the criminals have moved ahead. They have moved into a number of sophisticated activities, earning huge amounts from these enterprises. These include advanced credit fraud, traditional drug trafficking, gun running, extortion, and trafficking in persons, a most heinous crime. They have even started to use cryptocurrency to finance criminal activities before we establish a digital currency. But, Madam Speaker, we are training and preparing the Jamaica Constabulary Force to be equipped to deal with all aspects of the criminal underworld and to do so successfully. The investigative process of the police increasingly rely on DNA evidence, ballistics and forensic analysis, and the incorporation of other technologies. This has strengthened the operational efficiency of the police, resulting in more convictions, more guilty pleas, and more confessions. When confronted with irrefutable scientific evidence, perpetrators have no choice but to throw in the towel at the earliest opportunity. The increasing reliance on forensic science is impacting on a most insidious culture, the inform of the dead culture. There is less need for first-person affidavit to secure convictions.
Madam Speaker, I now ask that the standing orders be suspended to enable the Minister to continue his speech to its conclusion, notwithstanding the time limit on speeches.
Question before the House is that the Minister be given sufficient time to complete his presentation. Those in favour? Those against? The ayes have it.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. May I thank my colleagues. Madam Speaker, the Jamaican people are now becoming accustomed to our new look police force. Having provided the police the requisite multiplier over the last 4 years, we are now seeing significant improvement in policing capacity, response, as well as the crime trends. Over the last 5 years, serious crimes, which include murder, shooting, rape, robbery, and break-ins, have declined by an average of 5% per annum. In fact, between 2015 and 2020, total serious crime declined by 24%. However, the rate of homicide continues to be high and has leveled off at too high a rate, and the objective to get that down is the greatest concern of people, the loss of life there. But there are major improvements in the rape, robbery, and other major crimes. And there is renewed confidence and heightened assurance that this modern, more agile, efficient police force is transmitted to the public, and rightly so. One of the spin-off of success, Madam Speaker, in criminal fighting, because we are fighting in Jamaica, much of the homicide and the violence is gang-related. And in fighting gang, in the early stages, when you disrupt gangs, you get increased killings, because when you take off the leadership, which is easy to identify, the gangs split up into small groups that kill each other. We are at that stage now, but we are getting out of that, getting beyond that, and I show the public with the equipment, the training, and expansion of the JCF, where we get on top of the gang culture and reduce homicide to levels that will be considered civilized. Reliable mobility, high-quality communication, effective surveillance, good record-keeping, critical elements for the 21st century police will help assure us we can deal with the modern criminal. Much has been executed, more will be done, and we will get it done. As part of that, Madam Speaker, in addition to the improved capacity of the police force, the two other legs that are critical to successful reduction in crime, I have to mention, without invading my colleagues' portfolio, but I have to deal with issues which provide some hurdles to crime, to fighting crime. And I mentioned the legal area, said, not being legally trained, you might say I'm walking to the hot coals barefooted, but I will do so, because it is crucial that we interrogate issues. And I apologize, Madam Speaker, because as a society we get too tense when we speak of looking at reform in law. It is such that politicians shouldn't touch these things. It's a democratic society where the democratically elected represent the people. It's our job, our responsibility, not just a privilege, it's our responsibility to lead change to make us In addition to improved capture police force, Madam Speaker, we have an aggressive legislative agenda, and in the pursuit of the agenda, they have learned much about the lawmaking process. But let me just identify them first. Right? Legislation creates the environment for law enforcement to be able to arrest criminals, bring perpetrators to justice, and ensure the penalties that are associated with criminal activities are commensurate with the egregious nature. In the coming weeks, I'll be bringing to the House 3 critical pieces of legislation that are part of the Ministry's legislation priorities. These bills are far advanced in drafting, and I speak of them only because I'm confident today, based on where we're getting them here. And I have the assurance of my colleagues in the AG and the other areas of lawmaking process. They'll be here. The first, of course, is already in the House. The amendment to the anti-gang bill, the Criminal Justice Suppression of Criminal Organization Amendment Bill 2021, also known as the anti-gang bill, was tabled on April 27, will be debated tomorrow. And that's the first one we had. That's that review. It should have been done 3 years ago, but it took us 5 to get here, and we had the full cooperation of the opposition as well. But that again reflects, as I said, the nature of lawmaking, which I'll comment on later. The Firearms Act, which has been long in gestation, running there 4 years now, will be brought to the House in a few weeks. We have had extensive cross-discussion with the Legal Reform Department, the Ministry of Justice, AG Department, which is now, and of course the support and the work of the CPC. All agencies, Madam Speaker, work well, And we're at a critical point. I think we're in the last round, and I know in a few weeks we should have I'm assured it will be in the House. Critical piece of legislation in dealing with, Madam Speaker, 80 to 90% of homicide in the country is the result of the use of a firearm. It took us too long to get the legislation to the House. And I don't blame the individuals involved in it. And I come in today. We have inherited a system, we need to shake it up. We are too hog-tied to a legacy system which is not relevant to Jamaica. The major organized crime and anti-corruption agency, which has had its date of a point of appointment settled, have a significant piece of regulation to come, which is the investigation, prosecution regulation. That too is in its final stage and will be in the House very shortly, so that they'll be fully operational in due course. The final one that I'll be bringing should be quick, but very important. This one I say quick because it's the shortest one we're doing, which is to amend the Trafficking in Persons Act to replace optional fines with custodial sentences, except for corporate bodies that may be charged from time to time. I wish to place on record that the trafficking person is high on the agenda of the government and the Ministry of National Security. This government recognizes our obligation to put the requisite measures in place to eliminate or minimize incidents of human trafficking within our country. We are fully aware of the severe and adverse impact of human trafficking within and beyond our borders. We do not take lightly our responsibility to assist and protect and rescue victims. Given the level of importance that we have attributed to the issue of human trafficking, the chairmanship of the National Task Force Against Trafficking in Persons has been returned to the Ministry of National Security. The task force is now chaired by a permanent secretary, and additionally, the policy for trafficking persons is now being near completion to be taken to Cabinet. This is a first for Jamaica. The trafficking in persons will be completed by the second quarter of this financial year. It's a most obnoxious crime, Madam Speaker. And even though we have to prevent it from growing, and in whatever way it happens, we must deal with trafficking in persons in this country. The Correctional Act is being amended to address the movement of contraband into facilities, and that amendment should be here pretty soon as well. It's a small amendment, more will be done to replace the entire Correctional Act, but not as quickly. That takes more time, but we need to deal with the contraband as quickly as we can, as it's a major problem, as those who work in the system are aware. Amendments to the Immigration Restriction, Consular Citizens and Aliens Act have been completed, and this bill also is in its final stages of consultation with a number of units and should be here in a couple of weeks. So too is a new visa policy, which will bring some new features recommended by both our Economic Growth Council and by the city to bring visa policy into the new era. The Ministry of National Security is developing policies that are relevant to the times and the technology supported while providing security to our people. There are other pieces of legislation to come, and I say them somewhat cautiously. In fact, we inherited a long list, not just from my predecessor, but coming down here, that I identified as crucial to security, which is why I made my initial comment. But I'll be making every effort as we complete these 5 pieces I've identified to look at further amendments to the Process of Crime Act, Interception of Communication Acts, and to bring to Jamaica a Modern Intelligence Act and comprehensive amendment to the Corrections Act, as well as the repeal and replacement of the JCF Act. The process of developing complex legislation, Madam Speaker, can be very challenging. The process is complex, it's iterative, and results in levels of institutional demand that strangulates the government legal system. Given the increased demand on the service of the institutional drivers of this process, it is time for us to make provisions for the strengthening, reinforcing, and repositioning of these offices. And here I speak of the Office of the Chief Parliamentary Counsel, the Legal Reform Department, and the Attorney General Departments. The heads of these agencies are highly proficient, experienced, and well-intentioned professionals, undoubtedly some of the best legal minds in the region. Their best efforts are, however, constrained by having a less than ideal staff complement with a demanding legislative agenda. If we are to have legislation done professionally and efficiently, we have to revisit their post, their statute, we ascribe to them. And I emphasize statute, Mr. Madam Speaker, because public servants and including ourselves in this parliament, and know we are not doing something just for money, and you won't be here, right? And to give them respect and say it's important. There's no reason, we have abolished the barrister law, attorney at law thing, unified, but we still have ways of identifying people with respect. So senior counsel have success in the private bar called QCs. But most of our senior public servants, they have to wait till they retire, and they take their skill out where they charge in 1 month more than they'd get for the whole salary for the year, and then they get honored to be called a QC. It's unfair, Madam Speaker. We inherit a system from the British, but we seek to diminish a lot of our own people. It's a cause and concern. We do not want to elevate and recognize our institutions and the people who head them. We too much seek to diminish them when we have taken over. We have to change that. I am not seeking to encourage my colleague, but I said that I think we should raise this issue as it impacts on me and it's legal in the law enforcement agency, and indeed a generic basis for law enforcement is quick and sure justice. But the current law-making process, not the person, Madam Speaker, I will want to say it because, I'm repeating what I say, Madam Speaker, although time is going, because in medicine we have a thing called, a specialist called ENT surgeon. Remember? Look after the ear, nose and throat. I find in public we have another character. We have an eye and ear specialist. They see and hear what they believe. Yes. Right? So I want to say clearly, I've been sold what I have to say. The current lawmaking process is an impairment to law enforcement and must be changed. We have to look at the system holistically and interrogate issues comprehensively to make necessary changes. And here at the short, this section we move on, but to say that I think the jurisprudence too has to look at themselves. I know without any doubt we have 3 branches of government, and the judiciary is independent of the executive and the legislature. But they have some of our best minds. And as a country, small and limited in talent, we have to draw on all minds. And I think the jurisprudence must also take some leadership in looking at our laws. Especially to look at it contextually. Because some of the more famous jurists have always said that law must be taken in context. Times change, doesn't exist in a vacuum, I would advise, and therefore it must be done. There are things in Jamaica which raises questions. I don't have the answers. I'm a lawyer, but I'll tell you 1 or 2 quickly, Madam Speaker. For example, a bailer. Now I know it's a right to get bail, but the way it's approached is nonsensical. I think one great lord once said the law is an ass, and I know I can to quote it out of context is dangerous, but I'll use it because this is a country that principle is adopted by most of our critical partners. But they have the UK, which is our closest partner. They have 33 murders in a population of nearly 100 million. They see when a murder happened by the gun in England, it's become a national news. When I have 30 per week, I feel good. And therefore, you cannot have the same principle that man commit a gun crime, come before you. You give him bail this week. Him go out and commit another crime, come back next week, give him another bail. Till him kill 5, 6 people. There must be a way, even within our constitution, our written constitution, the Charter of Rights, to deal with that problem. It is nonsensical. We cannot continue like that. As Mr. Speaker, this is why I'm saying our laws must reflect some of the Jamaican culture and realities. We have a story now. It's well known, but it's based on truth, even though anecdotal. There's in a small town in rural Jamaica which had got violence at TikTok. There's a young criminal who, after the 3rd shooting, he normally gets his mother walks around and gets someone to bail him. The mother was warned by the district, don't bail him, they can't go and kill somebody else. Of course, it's her son, she went about it because she was offered bail. Well, the next day when she got assurance of bail, somebody met her and get and killed her. So it leads to tragedy, more killing, and vigilantism. We must look at our legislation, our laws, and not only us as legislators, but the judges have a way to intervene, Madam Speaker. One judge recently used what we call the arbiter dicta to lecture the executive. But that aspect of the law is there to allow judges who are supposed to be our best minds to sometimes give a bit of this direction. In fact, that's what arbiter is defined as. It's a lacuna in law to allow the judges to make comments and sometimes give a bit of direction without crossing the boundary into the executive. Not to allow them to lecture policy and criticize government policy and executive policy. So we have to adopt, where appropriate, measures to increase order. In the case of murders, the amount of murders committed, the courts cannot handle it if we succeed at all them. I must tell you, in one case, if we take a period of 4 years, with a total of 2,084 murder case files were prepared, of the number 604 were disposed of. So you're getting a backing up. And prolonged case trials, we have to look again at the process involved. And while I go from the written text, Madam Speaker, among the issues raised here when you delay these gang cases and murder cases for long, we have to put witnesses, which is the demand of the justice system. First person affidavit is the gold standard for evidence, although I have strong scientific evidence. But we cannot take a witness in protection for 2 years, 3 years. It's like you're locking up the man who is serving the society rather than the criminals. You take a man out of his home, he has no name, no work, no family, and you put him away and he can't even show his face. You dare not show his finger above the rails, he might be killed. And you keep him for 2 years on a case. But I'm speaking to my Minister of Justice, I've said, a way must be found to correct those problems without breaching our Constitution. Madam Speaker, I'll go more there. We have another bill tomorrow too in which you can comment on it. But I thought I'd open the discussion because for too long we remain resistant to discussing it. And I mentioned that I get thrown in the section. There are 3 partners. We work very well with, because we think they have similar jurisprudence, similar parliamentary system, but we have fundamental differences. The ABC countries, America, UK, and Canada. But you know what I'm situated, Madam Speaker, you know you're a lawyer, and I can go, I don't do details, but only the United States have a written constitution, UK operates off precedents and tradition, although they claim it's a constitutional requirement. And Canada operates off what was the North American Act, and it was repatriated as a Constitution Act. Jamaica has the most complex and detailed constitution. Therefore, there is room. We have to look at things differently. And we have a different ecosystem. And one of the challenges we face is amending section of it. American system is fundamental principles interpreted by the learned judge regularly. But we have incorporated so much in our constitution. We have to be we have to be prepared to make amendments from time to time. I'm aware that any part you amend should not impact on the fundamentally deeply entrenched section. But we have 3 sections. Anybody can understand. The law will explain to the layperson here. But deeply entrenched, entrenched, and ordinarily entrenched. The less entrenched one, we ought to be able to look at them because that section is really legislation being embodied in the Constitution. That's what it is. And to get uptight every time a politician talks about that thing is unreasonable, and we have to start to make a step to be able to adjust when necessary to meet the conditions we face with. Madam Speaker, the final leg I come to, and I am standing here again, which I've, the first time I spoke to this, I got a lot of batterings. When I said our social investment program were not working well. Today, I have full agreement in the last few on understanding, and the government has made some significant policy shift. Commend the Prime Minister, always spoke of a holistic approach to deal with crime. Under his direction, Plan Secure Jamaica was developed. And social investment is a crucial part of resolving the long-term issue of crime. Indeed, it said, Madam Speaker, crime prevention is a long-term goal, but crime reduction is an immediate need. And I want to take note of the 2 differences. Crime reduction is an immediate need. Crime prevention is a long-term goal. I posit, Madam Speaker, that in order to achieve this sustainable crime reduction, we must, as a matter of priority, reconsider and reposition our crime prevention efforts. We must learn from our past experience and do better as we move forward. Madam Speaker, the government has issued a policy directive to reposition social investment, rethink our crime prevention programs. The reason this was simple. social intervention projects were not providing long-term impact on the lives of people in the communities. It was for this reason that the government developed a comprehensive all-of-government structure for social investment under Plan Secure Jamaica, directed by the current Prime Minister, Andrew Michael Onis. You'll note, Madam Speaker, that I do not speak here of social intervention, but of social investments. We're investing in the social development of the people with the understanding that improved human capacity will result in strong human capital in the time. Recent studies done by Capri, our finest research institute, they showed clearly that in the last 5 years, $380 billion had been spent on social intervention over the period of a decade. Much more than spent on any police program or security program, despite of when in emotional moments they call for more social intervention and less on police because we spent some money in the last 4 years on police. It's the first time we've spent any significant money on police, $380 billion on social intervention, and did not include the $800 billion spent on education. And the 100 communities identified by this PIOJ in 2009 remain the 100 communities that continue to be challenged, communities producing criminals and gangs every day, and we have not changed one, we have increased it because we don't have to go into Westmoreland. That's a fact, not my personal mode, and we have to change that. Part of the process, Madam Speaker, much of programs were done before without any monitoring or any effective monitoring and evaluation, which has been on a continuous basis. Outcomes must be defined and baseline data must be put in place, that's in the social demographic areas, and that the policy change that has been done, and this, without there being adequate monitoring or definition of outcome to corroborate the policy of the governments as announced. Part of this process, Madam Speaker, is that the Prime Minister has established a critical grouping. One of the traditions of intervention is that they used to be set up as projects, and they operated in isolation. And everybody who was getting employed by the project was dependent on the project. They objected to change because of a self-interest, quite frankly. They were well-intentioned, but they feel that government couldn't do it, so you just do your own thing and you get good. And academics too, I mean, some of our self-interest. All, number of NGOs, academics now would be dependent on the agency. And you have a project in which people are paid twice what the civil servants were being paid. And they were taking the work from the civil service and then telling the civil servant what to do. It was not good for the profession. The people who were there every day did not feel committed to make the changes in the system. We have to change that. But under the direction of the Prime Minister, we have set up a business advisory group. Formerly chaired by the Prime Minister, functionally I carry out his work in his absence. It comprised all permanent secretaries, heads of all relevant agencies of government. And this high-level group is responsible for the interministerial coordination and collaboration around social investment for community transformation. The transformation, Madam Speaker, by social investment. The Business Advisory Group ensures that identified social and infrastructural needs within the communities are captured in the respective ministry's budget and efficiently addressed through the agencies, given that the members, the permanent secretaries, are accountable to the Prime Minister and to the people of Jamaica. The establishment of the Business Advisory Group guarantees continuity and transparency of social investment activities. It is critical that we spend the money we are spending in social services in the core ministries is spent efficiently and well. You cannot have a school that has a fully paid staff, is well physically in good shape, in a depressed community, and every year for the decades after decades you hear literacy and numeracy is still at zero level. A school having 20% turnout, not full staff. Something is wrong, Madam Speaker. You have to change that. Don't tell me you need more. When you have full staff trained, you fix a school, it's running, it's physically fit, yet we're still turning out illiterates. Doesn't make sense, right? The provision of core social services, education, public health, and access to the social safety net must be reorganized and improved to reach all those who are in genuine need. that will be done and must be done to ensure the poor people of these challenged communities will be given hope and a better services to them. The advisory group ensures the quality of public service and essential public good are provided in a sustainable manner to the communities that have been identified as vulnerable. Madam Speaker, we are institutionalizing social investment. We are conducting the necessary baseline assessments. Data is critical. Gathering the requisite empirical data that will inform the social investment program. We're ensuring our desired outcomes are clearly defined and measurable. If illiteracy is at 20% in grade 4, then you can measure it. You don't have to wait 10 years. Every year for the next year, every term. So as I had in one school, I had to work in my constituency. Within 3 years, we're at 100% literacy. Every single program in which money is being invested will be so monitored. And if it's not working, it must be stopped irrespective of who is getting the benefit. Core social services for the people, not a source of employment, or study, or consultancy, is to serve the people in these areas. And that is what this government is going to do to ensure that humble people in these communities get the service they need. Now, Madam Speaker, as I look across, I recall, I won't say exactly, but one body went to a constituency, find some poor people, lactating mothers, and disabled, and they had checks for them, and it takes nearly 6 months to check almost get still dated when I found out to get the checks to them. That kind of inefficiency cannot be tolerated. Part of it, they don't want to work with each other. They don't like to work with the political directorate. And I say this without apology, that in these challenged communities, one of the last hope and the last contact with government is still elected MP. Exactly. Right? I made up all the friend. I go into West Kingston. We have to do it objective, but I speak to the MP. I go into South St. Andrew, and the member is here, Southwest St. Andrew. I go in there, I speak to the member involved, and I will do so in every constituency in the urban area. That we have to speak to them, because the reason we still have a stable, relatively stable society, despite the violence and all of that, and we don't have an arc, is that the people still believe in the democratic system, and they elect their members that party. International agencies don't respect that. Madam Speaker, empirical data is crucial. We're ensuring that our desired outcomes are clearly defined and measured. It's simply captured with a monitoring, evaluation, and learning framework. The City Security Secretary at staff will be doing monitoring. Coordination will come from the Citizens Business Group. Through this approach, Madam Speaker, social investment for meaningful community transformation is for the first time being treated as an all-of-government issue. All government agencies are relevant to the area, must be included, and will participate and be held accountable by the highest level in this government. Social investment is indeed all of government. This is why we are confident, Madam Speaker, that the approach as initiated and articulated by the Prime Minister will be impactful and successful. Some work is being done in the Ministry of National Security to ensure we put the policy on paper. We'll take it, of course, to the Cabinet for approval from a crime prevention point of view. The evidence-based approach based on empirical data with a strong monitoring, evaluation, and learning framework will bring meaningful transformation to these communities. Social development activities must be relevant in order to be for social investment to impact on crime, Madam Speaker. Research confirmed that on average 50.2% of all murders in Jamaica are of young men. 50% of all the murders between the ages of 15 to 34. These are young men in their prime productive years who are being gunned down, slaughtered by each other. They are lost to a society. We have to correct that if we intend to grow and be a just society. The baseline study of 17 vulnerable and volatile communities that was compiled by the Planning Institute of Jamaica will play a critical role in all of this. Further confirm, as much as 50% of them have finished secondary education, but only 5% are employed or employable. Again, a reflection of our failure to serve these communities effectively. Though forced with this unfortunate reality, Madam Speaker, the Social Development Commission also reports significant infrastructure assets in all of these communities. Yes. Not more money there, you won't know. The assets provide a foundation which we can build. Take a place like Jonestown and Almontown. There are 9 schools and 8 churches in Jonestown. And Almontown, You have 16 schools and 11 churches in Alban Town. That's enough space and physical assets that if we work with the people, we can transform those communities in short order. Right? It is important we have the right social initiatives and activities. They must be relevant and target the population. They make sense. You just understand. Research have identified that among inner city communities, up to 70% of our boys drop out at grade 9. When I did my survey and it came to me, people couldn't believe it. I had to take a look again. They're dropping out of the audience school at grade 9, and that's where the recruitable gangs come from. The social anthropologists speak of them as recruitability of young men into gangs. These are the boys to whom they are referring. We must intercept the lives of these boys from an early age. We must provide support for the strongly single mother and develop relevant curriculum for the boys from infancy to high school. They need our support, and we must give it. And we find a way to ensure we are spending enough money. We have PATH, public health, education, SPC, Ministry of Labour and Social Security. The object of the policy shift is to ensure that all agencies provide a service to the people who are in need of it. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of National Security will be working closely with the relevant ministries. We'll be the arrowhead into these challenge communities, because we know there are challenges. That there's a safe environment in which to develop and operate the new ecosystem for social change. Include all the ministries I've labeled before. And also the agencies currently guided by the Prime Minister and the Heart Trust NTA, and agencies like Jamaica National Service Corps, and the Hope all merge into the Hope, Heart Trust, Hope and other agencies directed from the Prime Minister, which is have been directed to work closely to ensure, especially in the zones of special operation and the depressed communities, that we begin to effect transformation with the funding we have. We proceed aggressively. I know partners will join and support what we're doing. But our first objective is that the Jamaica taxpayer money must be spent efficiently and well. I want to make up, in total, Madam Speaker, music and sports are a critical part. As one says, the heartbeat of the Jamaican society. And things we do with our inner city must be culturally relevant. Make no apologies for that. Every young boy can be identified music and sports. As one looked at me in grade 9 in Mount St. Emilius, Madam Speaker, at AG, and said, they call me Boss or Doc. Boss, me no build this mat and cat rat business, teach me music. They like an appeal. They want to learn, but we're not teaching them. That's the reality. Last summer we did a simple music, sports and technology program down in Southwest St. Andrew. The youngsters were elated. They are cooperative. They came every day. It was an extremely wonderful experience. We want to institutionalize this kind of activity. In addition to that, we do programs that young men feel good about. We're not here being, Mr. I was saying we are over this area. We're trying to remove toxic masculinity, and we therefore have to give the young men a sense of that they, in fact, restore their self-dignity. We are a post-colonial society where slavery was a part of a legacy that damaged the mentality of our people. And so when we introduce some program like articulated truck driving, which is really a part of heavy-duty equipment, the men feel better about doing that. We have to expand the program. It's being managed in conjunction with the JDF training area. It's an extended program. We are going to take young men out of all the challenges. It's just started. But Madam Speaker, it's another learning experience. It took me 2 years to convince this professional social workers to buy the simulator and ensure that we had something that we could teach young men appropriately. And I said that from a tourist here, when they do housekeeping, is to go in the hotel and become a gigolo or recruit clients. That's all they are. They're not interested in it. So let us be real. Music intervention, how can Jamaica, a country like Jamaica, not have music and sports as a formality in their curriculum, Madam Speaker? It's not there. It was there now. We remove it. We diminish our own selves. We will work closely with the agencies to expand opportunity and develop these programs. And I want to commend the Minister of Education, who was we're working very closely with our crime prevention unit, and we expect to see things move much more aggressive in the new academic year. Madam Speaker, I want to speak once for a minute on what is called by the social anthropologists ontological security. is defined as a sense of a future that a person possesses. Young men in particular in our inner city feel socially isolated. They have no security. They live for the day. They live for the short time. The power comes from the barrel of a gun, so I can be powerful today because they maybe know tomorrow. Social anthropologists posit that ontological security is crucial to sustain reduction in criminal violence. The key indicators of ontological security are food security, a sense of safety, support, and education. And they agree on one thing, all agree that unequivocally is that education is the single most powerful tool for ontological security. If we start from infancy through school, ensure they can attend school regularly, have lunch, uniform, and are trained well, we will reverse the process of gang recruitment and really establish the public safety mechanism. That is crime prevention. As said by another, if a country does not make its young men feel safe, there's a secure future, they will destroy themselves and the country. That's the risk we face. The violence against women, against themselves, against society is a result of their failure to have a sense of a future. We are changing that. This government is changing that and give our young men a future to live for. We will introduce relevant social educational program, appropriate curriculum in the schools, and providing opportunities for self-improvement. The objective, Madam Speaker, is to restore a sense of hope, self-worth to our young males, so they can redeem their stake in society, reclaim their stake in society, and no longer seek empowerment in the trigger of a gun, but show the strength of their minds. At this juncture, Madam Speaker, I wish to acknowledge and thank my colleague, the Minister of Education in particular, have shown considerable interest to work with us in correcting what has been a long-standing chronic problem in the development of our young people in challenging areas. I appreciate the collaboration and the partnership, but as we indicated earlier, it's an all-of-government survey. And before I close with that, Madam Speaker, I want to give a little story. From where I sit, I get everything. I said I have to have a 360-degree view. And there's one story that hit the news recently, and I think it needs repeating because the way it was interpreted, maybe that's how I see it. But it tells me why we must change, and we'll have to change. And the two young ladies, born in exactly similar social deprived conditions, one rural, one urban. The first one, last of the family, first child to graduate from high school. She had to work hard as hell to get there. She got 9 ones. She had no money to attend college. She had to join the police force. Join the police force. She's on the right side of the law. But she had to work hard. She's a poor girl, dirt poor. But at police college, she became the valedictorian. In everything she do, she worked hard. She had 9 distinctions. She worked hard in police college. So she was, of course, assigned special squad. She was good at the physical activity. She was the best shot. She was the best academic. The perfect example of a successful child from a very poor background. On the other hand, the other young lady, just as bright, but she is trapped in inner city gangsterism. She got through to go to one of our top female schools in the process. But of course, she's still a network around of gangsterism. In fact, those of us who represent tough countries know when you get that kind of situation, and look at Don always protecting her. That's why she can get to go to high school and help the mother with lunch money, etc. So she has to travel with them. So she is in what could very well be a dead-end road. She is still entrapped by a circle of violence. So both of them are coming from this humble background, which if we don't correct it, they'll both end up at dead end. Why? This young lady who joined the police force, she's on duty with a special team because she has started her law degree, working her way up. She's given a call, and a car that was involved in an armed robbery, identified, license plate, color, everything, and some distance away is identified. The communication system we have is working better. When we call police, we get them, we dispatch cars to them. And her units were dispatched to intercept this vehicle. By the time she got there, she wouldn't have known that the people had stopped, got what they robbed was some telephones, and maybe carrying to a birthday party as well. That was what took up. Take up young ladies, children, in the car and drive to the party. Of course, when they intercepted the vehicle, one of the young men came out firing. I suspect he felt nobody would return fire, but you couldn't see what was in the car. The police returned fire. The young lady ended up killing the other young lady who was in the car. But she got to court. She got 15 years. The two of them are killed by the system.
Yes.
Got 15 years by this young lady in jail. She'll have no life again. The system destroyed our young people. It must be changed. Madam Speaker, I close with a few words. There can be no order without hope, no peace without justice, or poets sing. No security without self-esteem and self-respect. Ontological security for provided professionals. That is the priority of the Ministry of National Security, going to the new term of government. To create a safe environment within which to restore hope, self-worth, dignity, a sense of purpose to our young men, safety for our people, and all the residents of challenged communities. But Madam Speaker, I want to call us a little different note today. I am a politician. I don't apologize for that. I seek to represent my people and speak to the issues. But you know, they will say all of us in here, as MPs, we will say the political and correct things. But they are saying that the poet speaks from the heart, soul of our people. So I want to quote from aloud to our poets to close the session. One of them speaks to the wretchedness to which slavery reduced our people. But even that wretchedness, the character of our people was there, only to be uncovered. The other poet, these are two of our most outstanding poets in my opinion. The other would tear away the wretchedness and unveil the character of our people. So I'd like to read from my colleagues. I'm singing it. I can't sing The Fisherman. I read the poem of Sir Philip Sherlock, a simple sonnet, The Fisherman, over the rhythm of the late great Bob Marley Redemption song. The poem goes like this. Across the sand I saw a black man stride to fetch his fishing gear and broken things. And silently that splendid body cried, his proud descent from ancient chiefs and kings. Across the sand I saw him stride, sang his black body in the sun's white light, the velvet coolness of dark forest wide, the blackness of the jungle's starless night. He stood beside the old canoe which lay upon the beach, swept up in his arms, not getting the rhythm. No, they're supposed to be playing the song. No, we have to play the rhythm, a true thing. It's a short. It's short, no, you just don't read the rhythm. I go again, it's short. I was almost there. Across the sand, I saw a black man stride to fetch his fishing gear and broken things, and silently that splendid body cried, his proud descent from ancient chiefs and kings. Across the sand I saw him stride, sang his black body in the sun's white light, the velvet coolness of dark forest wide, the blackness of the jungle's starless night. He stood beside the old canoe which lay upon the beach, swept up within his arms, the broken nets and careless lounge away, towards his wretched hut beneath the palms, but nor knew how fiercely spoke his body then of ancient wealth and freeborn regal men. I need the Bob Marley's Emancipate Yourself is maybe the appropriate poem I want to have. I'm sorry, Madam Speaker. I'd love to hear the speakers because this was at that rhythm. Bob Marley is the modern exponent of those who were willing to remove the wretchedness, and we could see the quality of our men rise. That's those two. We heard another time that I taught this poem, written by Sir Philip Sherlock, the first vice chancellor of the university, was indeed appropriate to describe the character of what our people were used to, what preserved our true character. And Bob Marley, in his modern time, was able to unfold that and allow us to rise. That's the mission of this government. It's to remove the wretchedness, restore hope, self-respect, and dignity to our people. Madam, only then will peace, safe, reign, and safety prevail. Madam Speaker, may the Almighty continue to bless our country, land we love. Thank you.
Member? Member, just before you begin, may I use this opportunity to thank Dr. Chang for a comprehensive and well-done report on this.
Madam Speaker, I rise to make my maiden presentation in this honorable House. But before I start, Madam Speaker, I see the Honourable Prime Minister there, and yesterday was Labour Day, so I hope that we had a good Labour Day and that we labour, not partying, because I know it's the Labour Party, right? But we labour at home as he has asked us to do. And also, Madam Speaker, I feel especially blessed. Now, Madam Speaker, she is now in the chair because she said the prayer for us today, and I feel especially blessed that the Deputy Speaker said the prayer for us today. Madam Speaker, my theme will be get in line because we are too far behind. It's a case for a leapfrog strategy in this sectoral presentation of mine. Madam Speaker, I want to begin my presentation today with an expression of gratitude to the Almighty God, who has the supreme power dissipated a tsunami of green on September 3rd, 2020, which has afforded me the opportunity of being here today as a representative of the people of Northwest St. Catherine, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I intend to use this opportunity to serve the interests of the people to the best of my ability, following in the footsteps of my immediate predecessor, the 7-star General Robert Bobby Pickersgill, who gave years of unwavering service to this Parliament and to the people of Jamaica. He has been my mentor and my friend, who has passed on his great knowledge of representational politics to me. On this side of the House, we would fondly say that he's a great stalwart who earned his reputation by being with his people. Madam Speaker, when Bobby was a minister, he was called Honourable then. In opposition, he was Sosa Bobby. He is now permanently Honourable OJ, thanks to you, Prime Minister, who allowed Bobby to have a permanent honorable to his name. I thank you.
Yes, man, keep quiet. Keep quiet.
Madam Speaker, I want to acknowledge Madam Speaker, I want to acknowledge and recognize my 89-year-old mother who is here with us. Madam Speaker, if this were to be her last act on this side of the earth, she would not miss being here. Madam Speaker. Mama, I thank you for the sacrifices over the years and for equipping me with the necessary tools to succeed in life. Madam Speaker, by virtue of such love and humility, it gave rise to my mantra. It is never enough for me, but always enough to share.
All right.
My profound thanks to the People's National Party and the leader, Mark Golin. Thank you. For allowing me to serve Jamaica and shadowing this critical portfolio. I also want to express my gratitude and love to my 4 beautiful children, 2 of whom are also here today. They inspire me each day to dig deeper and to be a better person. Their probing questions about life, politics, and about growing up have guided much of my actions as their dad and friend. Madam Speaker, I want to acknowledge my foundation friends who have stuck with me and have continued to provide their unwavering support as evidence to that. They're also here today, Madam Speaker, to support. Madam Speaker, a lot of what is done in Northwest St. Catherine must be accredited to the work of the councillors represented by Councillor Sidney Rose, who is also here today. The Constituency Executive and a magnificent team of volunteers. Together, they have supported me throughout this journey and continue to do so effortlessly. For this, respect is due and a heartfelt thank you. I learned from my mentor, Madam Speaker, that an attitude of gratitude can make our life a beatitude. So, Madam Speaker, please allow me to express my gratitude for the needed projects which both my predecessor and I have made earnest representation. Thank you, Minister Warmington. He has disappeared. And the National Water Commission for upgrading the potable water supply schemes to provide water to several communities. These include Orangefield, Giddon, Polyground, Charlton, and Negro House. This is a phased project in 4 parts, 2 of which have now been completed successfully. I also want to thank my friend who is really ribbing me there, Minister Montague, and the Jamaica Bauxite Institute for funding through the Bauxite Communities Fund to do road work repairs in bauxite communities.
I'm top it up.
Madam Speaker, I look forward to saying thank you also to Minister Vaz, Minister Grange, and Minister Tufton. Madam Speaker, I want to also say thanks to the members of my campaign and political teams who have continued their hard work with dedication and consistency. I would not close a segment of my presentation without offering thanks to the great team at my private office, Paramount Trading Jamaica Limited, for allowing me to detour into a new journey with approving echoes of many saying, well, that you like. My journey, both personally and politically, demonstrates that though we live in this world as God's beloved children, we are not limited by our circumstances. I often reflect upon Ecclesiastes 9, verse 11. The race is not for the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, or wealth to the brilliant, or favor to the learned, but time and chance happen to them all, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also want to say a special thanks to my detractors and critics because they helped to make me the person I am today. Madam Speaker, I thank you for your patience, your understanding in providing the requisite guidance for our deliberations, debates, and decisions. And finally, I want to acknowledge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle for their many courtesies and kindness since I was elected to this House 8 months ago. On to my portfolio responsibilities, Madam Speaker. Indeed, Madam Speaker, when all is said and done, Jamaica needs a leapfrog strategy to join with the rest of the world in applying technological solutions to our primary challenges. We are too far behind, Madam Speaker, in many of the areas of my portfolio, in science, commerce, and technology. I will use my presentation today to highlight some of these deficits and why we need a deliberate strategy to get in line, Madam Speaker. Technology is only understood by a few people in this society. In other words, Madam Speaker, we need to jamalize technology. Madam Speaker, over the past decade, we have seen information and communication technologies, ICTs, become ubiquitous and pervasive, and we have seen their influence spread into all spheres of human activity. The ICT ecosystem, Madam Speaker, is in fact the dynamo of the future. It has bridged barriers of physical distancing to bring millions of people together through voice and data connectivity, creating a more cohesive society and bolstering economic stability and growth. In fact, Madam Speaker, technology has become our neighborhood. Madam Speaker, consider Tanisha, a young enthusiastic graduate of McGrath High School who lives in the hills of Ty Dixon. And Madam Speaker, you know, Ty Dixon, my place, Northwest St. Catherine, yeah, Madam Speaker, if she had connectivity, she would be able to work at a BPO center in Portmore. This would allow Tanisha to get in line and to compete with anyone in the world for a BPO job. The importance of connectivity across our nation is mandatory, especially during these challenging times faced and caused by the pandemic and that we are faced with. Still, to date, we are operating on the fringes of our capabilities of these technologies as the world advances to even more complex transactions. Madam Speaker, we need to get in line as we are too far behind. What is the current vision of the ministry, Madam Speaker? The Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology, MSET, operational plan says the vision is to achieve a globally competitive ICT sector which is widely accessible and makes the greatest possible contribution to the social and economic development of Jamaica. Madam Speaker, based on the ministry's vision, now you know why we need to Jamalize technology. Madam Speaker, by utilizing virtual business-to-business, B2B meeting platforms, the economic sector strengthened by expanding investment and trade opportunities, both nationally and internationally. JAMPRO should be acknowledged for its role in employing the use of digital space. We can clearly see that transforming and expanding the digital space will allow companies to be able to hold hybrid meetings or completely electronic meetings. A classical example of that, Madam Speaker, is right here in the Parliament. We're having a hybrid meeting where persons can attend virtually by the click of a button. In this regard, we await the amendment to the Companies Act to establish a legal framework. I believe we cannot accelerate progress towards meeting these goals and targets if we do not enhance the full power of ICTs. ICTs will help us to make tremendous steps in improving healthcare, reducing poverty, and creating gender empowerment. Once again, Madam Speaker, ICT means information and communications technology. Let's look at the Universal Service Fund, Madam Speaker. The Universal Service Fund is a significant institution. It assists in meeting these goals. This statutory body is geared at financing the provisions of universal access to the information superhighway by accelerating broadband deployment island-wide. The fund was established in 2005 to collect and manage the universal service levy of US 30 cents per minute on international calls to Jamaica terminated on fixed lines and US 20 cents per minute on calls to mobile lines mandated by a ministerial order at the time. Incidentally, Madam Speaker, the then minister, at that time I guess he was honorable, right, Philip? Lest we not forget, Philip Alwell. Over $12 billion has been collected since the establishment of the fund, 16 years ago. Visionary, Madam Speaker, visionary. In 2016, the government, in a commitment to ensure that every Jamaican had greater access to technology, regardless of their socio-economic background, established over 200 community access points across the country, more of which has been done since. Big up to the Minister, Julian Robinson, again, visionary, Madam Speaker, visionary. However, Madam Speaker, these access points are limited to the use of fiber and located mainly in high traffic areas. both urban centers and towns. In light of this, there will be a substantial limitation in regard to bandwidth usage and full accessibility to persons within the communities. It is important that we establish that students be first priority to ensure that they have the connectivity to facilitate a smooth online learning environment. Madam Speaker, it is also evident that this universal joy to the future of the USF is being threatened, resulting in a sharp drop in revenue. This trend has been underway for some time as customers migrate to using the much cheaper over-the-top technology such as WhatsApp, Skype, and MagicJack for international calling. Yes, Madam Speaker, MagicJack. It is still around, providing internet-based telephone service using the same 876 area code, even if you're in Miami. Unless a new source of revenue is quickly identified, inflows to the USF will continue to decline. If there is no change in the policy or new revenue sources identified, the fund could well end up being a charge on the budget, Madam Speaker. The estimates of revenue and expenditure in the year ending March 2022, the fund projects a deficit of $1.45 billion. Need I say more, Madam Speaker? The technological challenge that the USF is facing is a global phenomenon which is not likely to reverse. Spreading this universal joy to wire every institution makes sense, Madam Speaker, but does not address the real issue. If technology is integrated in the smallest and poorest school, does it mean that the problem is solved? Of course not. Mere access is not enough. Since we are giving schools computers, you also need to offer constant technical support, upgrades and training in how to usefully integrate the technology into a meaningful curriculum, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, no less will satisfy the Jamaican people. On to the digital divide. The digital divide is a term now increasingly used to explain the social implications of unbalanced access to some sectors of the community to information and communications technology and to the achievement of necessary skills. Madam Speaker, it is critical. Assessment to this digital divide and wealth gaps shows a widening divide between countries and the continuation of this vicious cycle. If we remain comfortable in our passive disposition, the wealth gaps will get more acute between the skilled and the unskilled workers and will worsen gender disparity and divide. The importance of the internet can be appreciated by students living in remote rural communities who now can learn outside regular classroom and at the click of a button access information which previously required extensive library research. Madam Speaker, I don't want to be rude, but as I say, if you want to hide anything from black people, you should put it in a book. And that's why, Madam Speaker, we need to jamalize the technology so it is available to everyone. And what is great, Madam Speaker, the technologies can be accessed by internet user of mobile broadband and fixed wireless broadband. The user group is growing, Madam Speaker. 29% of the population was recorded as internet users in 2010. 52% of the population was recorded as internet users in 2018. We have seen a twofold increase in internet users, with penetration of mobile broadband being higher, 50 out of every 100 persons, than penetration of fixed line broadband, 10 out of every 100 persons. At the national level, Madam Speaker, it is well known that internet penetration and connection quality are not sufficient, especially in remote rural areas. For example, in the community of Ty Dixon, my community, or Banga Ridge, where's Minister Vaz? I don't see, but Banga Ridge is in his place than in rural areas, like Kingston or Portmore. The coverage of 4G network is very limited in the country. Barely 9% of the population is covered by these networks. Let me not even mention of 5G technology in this sectoral presentation. Madam Speaker, the time will come for that. Madam Speaker, it is of paramount importance, note that I said paramount, that we obtain 4G coverage across the island in order for the people of Jamaica to get in line. Madam Speaker, when you examine the overall goal of the USF to assist schools in low-income communities and rural areas in obtaining technology services, we have more than an ordinary obligation for greater investment in these areas. One of the things that we have witnessed in the pandemic is a change of our attitudes towards work and the environment. The people of Jamaica can get international and local jobs staying right in their remote rural communities once they are able to have reliable connectivity. Like Tanisha, Madam Speaker, who I mentioned earlier, could work from home, and she would not need to migrate to Portmore or to town for her job. We need to allow Tanisha to get in line and to get along. Madam Speaker, I'd like to make some recommendations important to the development of ICTs in Jamaica. 1. Major mobile companies hold the vast majority of the wireless spectrum. The government should ensure that these assets are immediately deployed to support the Jamaican people. In addition, there are 34 community cable TV operators within rural communities across Jamaica. Over the years, many of them have used creative means to access internet service from major towns near their operation. These operators, because of their numbers and where they are located, provide the best opportunity for expanding internet service to rural communities. A policy framework needs to be implemented. Let us get in line, Madam Speaker. Adopt a diversified technology hybrid approach. The country wants fiber optic networks, but the reality is that building out fiber infrastructure to every location is prohibitive in cost and in time. Madam Speaker, across the world, in Africa, Latin America, and even in the USA, satellite connectivity is being used to immediately connect remote rural communities, even while fiber is being rolled out. For example, Madam Speaker, I understand the commercial activities behind laying fiber to, for example, Yorton in my own constituency. But what about the people in Mount Russell, just next door? We have an obligation to our people, Madam Speaker, to get them connected. In Jamaica, Madam Speaker, the government showed foresight and immediately connected 100 rural schools by satellite, and that is to be commended, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, satellite cannot and does not replace fiber. It augments, complements, and supports it, and will give us the diversity we need as a nation. But I could be wrong. I don't see where fiber reaching Ty Dixon for now or the foreseeable future. Transforming digital industries. The COVID-19 pandemic has given us the unanticipated nudge to move faster down the digital road. The digital world has new ways of integrated connectivity across all borders of society, genres of commerce, and has given us the ability to eliminate the existence of digital divide in society and ultimately catapulting economic growth in our society. One of the most reported adverse impact of the pandemic was a 34% reduction in sales and a 22% temporary closure of both small and medium-sized enterprises. We have to applaud the Jamaica Business Development Corporation, the JBDC, for acting expeditiously by promoting a number of strategies in an attempt to support the business sector. These include
Madam Speaker, I now ask that the standing orders be suspended to enable the member to continue his speech to its conclusion, notwithstanding the time limit on speeches. And certainly, Madam Speaker, I'd ask that the member keeps it very tight. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The question is that the member be allowed sufficient time to complete his presentation. Those in favour? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. These include a majority of digital and online platforms to accelerate the use of online services, thus greatly impacting both e-commerce and business development services. I highlight the Do Business Jamaica virtual conference, a flagship event that will inevitably foster investment and promote business in Jamaica. Digital transformation is critical to this business landscape, as is the delivery of technological services to all across sections of the society. It is crucial that these resources be embarked by financial institutions such as Exim Bank at low interest rates to target the ICT sector for the advancement of digital platform across Jamaica. Madam Speaker, it is with great anticipation that I await the implementation of the National 5-Year Global Digital Service Strategy promised by Minister Shaw in his contribution to this debate. I hope that Cabinet will soon consider it for it to be tabled in this Honourable House, Madam Speaker. This will facilitate promotion of this sector, enabling training of students in new digital skills of higher value skills, thus paving the way for introduction to new businesses in Jamaica landscape. You know, Madam Speaker, some people ask me, is the internet really important when we still have much to achieve in areas such as healthcare, education, housing, and food? And I say the answer is yes. Yes, it is. Madam Speaker, the question is like asking if we can eat education. The internet will allow us to deliver more effective healthcare, better education, environmental sustainability, smarter and more economical energy supplies, and a whole range of new applications and services which are already proving to be revolutionary. Madam Speaker, indeed, it is time to get in line as we are too far behind. Madam Speaker, I move on to telecom providers. The telecoms network infrastructure is a backbone for the introduction of new technologies that will create new avenues for market growth. But, Madam Speaker, prior to the pandemic, there was poor quality of service provided by these operators. This called for the government to make a more assertive approach with all stakeholders to find solutions. It is also blatantly highlighted by the need to improve broadband access for all Jamaicans to create resilience in the Jamaica's national broadband network. Madam Speaker, our telecom providers are currently under immense pressure. We need to invest in modernizing networks fast enough to keep apace with the growing bandwidth demands of consumers and applications. And thus today's infrastructure is inadequate for the country's need. Madam Speaker, whatever the shortcomings of the current telecom providers, we hope that this will change with no Cabinet's approval of a third service provider to be granted a license to operate in Jamaica. There is high dependency on a single fixed infrastructure that provides little redundancies due to a lack of alternatives in the market. It is the responsibility of the Office of Utilities Regulation, the OUR, to endeavor to provide effective frameworks that will quickly impose and enforce sanctions to protect the Jamaican people. Madam Speaker, it is quite clear that we need to get in line as we are too far behind. Catch up, we must. Madam Speaker, I now move to digital currency. The government of Jamaica has disclosed that in light of the COVID-19, a swift transition to a digital society will be crucial for the economy to recover. Central bank digital currency, or CBDC, has emerged as a promising choice for central banks to compete with the digital money. It can provide the support for faster institutional and retail payments with reduced transaction costs. The CBDC also focuses particularly on fostering economic growth alongside digital innovation. As a result, it can lead to improved economic activity alongside encouraging the spillover effects in other technology sector. But, Madam Speaker, we need to obtain, first and foremost, the technological services that can advance the economic sector in which such can assist us to move forward. It is crucial that we get in line and not be left behind. Madam Speaker, I now move to digital literacy. Madam Speaker, the additional scope that needs to be addressed as digital technology is being revolutionized is the concept of digital literacy, which I refer to as Jamalize the digital landscape. Expanding the scope of digital literacy to e-learning has been found that teaching children IT skills in their formative years help them to evolve along with the information technology. Madam Speaker, in 2013, the Tablets in School program was commenced as a pilot project by our administration, Madam Speaker, and 30,000 tablets were distributed to students across the island. Madam Speaker, we would be ahead of the line if all students would now have a gadget. We would have integrated communication technology in the curriculum and all schools. Resources being used to purchase gadgets now could be used to advance the digital platform across Jamaica. Madam Speaker, we will be riding the waves of challenging times seamlessly, and 120 more children would not be left behind. We need to get in line, Madam Speaker, as we are too far behind. Madam Speaker, Jamaica would be steps ahead, especially during the pandemic, if we had in fact continued with such a program. Madam Speaker, there is no substitute for vision in the national development. Let me speak a little bit about technology and digital agriculture. The world's first entirely machine-operated crop was harvested in 2017, a milestone in digital agriculture, sometimes known as smart farming or e-agriculture. Madam Speaker, I want to indulge a little by highlighting the fact that farming is a main staple within rural communities within my constituency, Madam Speaker. Let me take the opportunity to recognize Farmer Black within the Natty Farmyard community. He has placed farming on a new trajectory, leading to the expansion of produce to local markets and enhancing revenues by promoting the development of small businesses within this small rural community. If we implemented satellite digital technology, which can improve accuracy, reduce manual labor, and improve monitoring of crop and growth, he would achieve so much more. This technology could revolutionize the agricultural sector, allowing Jamaica to be in competitive markets internationally and enable automation of administrative processes for agriculture and development of expanded government agricultural services. These technological advances can support the global goal of achieving more resilient, productive, and sustainable agriculture for food systems which will better meet the consumer needs. Madam Speaker, I now look at digital media and society. Innovations in technology, particularly in digital media, increasingly are changing the way people use media, entertainment, and information. In other words, the MEI services. The ICT sector has been charged with balancing the regulation with the growth and development agenda for creative economies. Creative economies are a set of activities that are both cultural and based on substantial artistic and creative content, which is part and parcel of the most dynamic industries in the world. Jamaica is well known for its cultural expression and creative content, which have attracted great interest internationally to transform the motion picture industry into a catalyst for national development. Greater use of the digital media will ultimately result in boosting productivity. Madam Speaker, it is imperative that we need to get in line to achieve this goal. Madam Speaker, I move to the regulatory framework. Madam Speaker, I want to speak about the vital importance of regulation of the ICT. More than 50% of the world's population is now online, and 1 million more people join the internet every day. 2/3 of humanity own a mobile device. Madam Speaker, good regulation delivers predictability, sustainability, and it reduces the risk within the ICT sector. It encourages investment in the ICT infrastructure and innovative business models. This changing technological environment imposes on legislative authorities a regular review of the respective laws, which takes us to the Jamaica's regulatory framework, of which there are 3. The Office of Utilities Regulation, the Spectrum Management Authority, and the Broadcasting Commission of Jamaica. This, Madam Speaker, is somewhat inefficient and cumbersome and also outdated. The time has come for the government to accelerate conversions in the communication sector and set out to establish a single regulator tasked with overseeing all aspects of the ICT sector. This plan, Madam Speaker, was proposed over 5 years ago by this side of the House, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we need to get in line as we are too far behind, Madam Speaker. Commerce and digitization. Telemedicine is the delivery of healthcare services and the exchange of medical information remotely using electronic communication technologies such as video conferencing and telephone calling. Madam Speaker, in 2018, the government of the day, your government, Madam Speaker, launched a telemedicine pilot project for the benefit of persons in remote areas and those with mobility issues. The project, which is ongoing, aims at allowing for such persons to access health services more easily. Although not widespread, telemedicine's use in Jamaica is becoming increasingly important, particularly due to the onset of COVID-19 pandemic and the accompanying need for physical distancing. As a direct result of this, over 8,000 persons in Jamaica sought medical assistance by way of telecommunication technologies between March and May 2020. We have not gone much further in our plans for the achievement of telemedicine and the regulatory framework surrounding it. Madam Speaker, are you now seeing why we need to get in line? I move to the cannabis industry. Madam Speaker, we need to get serious about the cannabis industry and structure it to benefit the Jamaican people. Despite the many promises of action, complaints continue to come from the local farmers who wish to be involved. With the advent of the U.S. decriminalization of marijuana, much of the local and international agenda and interests have changed. As it stands, Jamaica does not have a large presence in the global online economy. Madam Speaker, there has been a major development in the cannabis industry in regard to the Safe Banking Act that was passed in the U.S. House of Representatives on April 19, 2021. This will establish a safe harbor for the depository institution doing business with cannabis clients. The time is now to act, Madam Speaker, as there is a great opportunity for development of e-commerce platforms. Madam Speaker, if indeed we were able to skip the line and maximize on integrating digital technologies, we will be able to expand the current narrow research space of medical cannabis that is permitted through bipartisan approval to facilitate production of innovative products and medicines. Madam Speaker, I'd like to commend Dr. Lowe for the visionary approach in research and development in this area of science. Madam Speaker, maintaining the integrity of brand Jamaica marijuana, we call it ganja, is a priority for the international success. And ultimately, it will champion small entrepreneurs in implementing effective ecosystems that support their development, their growth, and their wealth. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, I'm closing, and as a pastor would say, I'm coming down. Coming right down, Madam Speaker. The advancement of digital technology globally has promised to reshape all the facets that build a nation for sustainable economic growth. It promises to bridge the barriers and creating a more cohesive society that ultimately eliminating the digital divide, thus becoming a catalyst for national development. The MSET Vision 2030 aims at building a globally competitive ICT sector which is made widely accessible and will create the greatest possible contribution to the social and economic development of Jamaica. And there, Madam Speaker, is another reason why we have to skip the line. But, Madam Speaker, as Bob Marley said, it takes a revolution to make a solution. We need to promulgate a strategy that will provide a roadmap to fast-track the achievement of such a vision. Madam Speaker, we need to get in line as we are too far behind. To begin this revolution and bring greater prosperity, Madam Speaker, I borrowed that word from, where the boss, I'm gone? From the great peer. To all Jamaicans. Jamaica will need to further boost this technological arm to provide accessibility and sustained availability to all Jamaicans. We need to enhance the regulatory frameworks to the ICT sector. Madam Speaker, these are essential to the maintenance of a strong macroeconomic framework that would promote growth, jobs, and resilience for Jamaicans. Today, more than ever before, Madam Speaker, young Jamaicans like Tanisha can dream of a brighter future, as the genius says, where every little thing is gonna be all right. This is a generation that must aim higher and can write a new chapter in this our Jamaica, land we all love. Therefore, Madam Speaker, we need to get in line, as we indeed are too far behind. Madam Speaker, I believe today is Africa Day, so I want to say, get up, stand up for our rights. Madam Speaker, one aim, one heart, one destiny, one love. Jah Rastafari. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, excellent presentation by the Minister of National Security. Madam Speaker, excellent presentation by the Minister of National Security, who we have now discovered is a poet, and a very good presentation from a Member of Parliament, Hugh Graham, who has now made his maiden speech. At this point, I now ask that the debate be suspended.
The question is that the sectoral debate be suspended. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Madam Speaker, Minister Green. Well, now, yeah.
Yeah. Madam Speaker, as you know, we had started the debate on the Agro-investment Corporation Amendment Act last week, and it was suspended for other members who may want to participate. So we now ask that the debate be continued.
To the best of my recollection, we had not yet read the bill a second time.
Yeah, it was read, Madam Speaker, a second time and opened. I opened last week, Wednesday.
Are there any other contributions?
Yes, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this bill that is being proposed is really a ratification of a previously existing relationship between the Agricultural Manufacturing Corporation and the Agro-investment Corporation. And I believe this relationship has existed from as far back as 2009. Correct, Minister? So the reality is, Madam Speaker, that this is welcome. We are hoping that this bill brings some success. We realize that the Agro-investment Corporation is now being tasked with new responsibilities to market, etc. And this is in keeping with where we want to see the agricultural sector heading. So, Minister, it's a move in the right direction, and we're hoping that at some later stage, perhaps next year, we can review to see how best we can look at the functions of the corporation to ensure that it is in keeping with what is being proposed. With that being said, Madam Speaker, that is my contribution in respect of this bill.
Thank you, Member.
And I give full support to the bill.
Thank you, Member. Are there any other contributions? If not, Minister Green.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank the member, opposition spokesperson on agriculture, for supporting the bill. And as was rightly said, Madam Speaker, part of what we're doing is really to put into law the arrangement that has been made from 2009 that consolidated the functions of Agricultural Marketing Corporation into the Agro-invest Corporation. So, Madam Speaker, I will not detain the House any longer, and as such, I conclude the debate and can move to the second reading of
the question is that the bill be read a second time. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Curtis.
A bill entitled An Act to Amend the Agro-Investment Corporation Act to entrust the functions of the Agricultural Marketing Corporation to the Agro-investment Corporation, to repeal the Agricultural Marketing Corporation Act, and to provide for connected matters, read a second time.
The House will now resolve itself into a committee of the whole House to consider the bill, clause by clause.
Madam Speaker, there are no amendments, so if you could put clause 1 to 13.
Okay.
Then.
I put clauses 1 through 13. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. I put the title and enacting clause. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? The ayes have it. The question is that I do report the bill as having passed committee stage without amendment. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. So, I do report the bill as having passed committee stage without amendments. Minister?
Madam Speaker, I now ask that the bill be read a third time.
The question is that a bill entitled An Act to Amend the Agro-Investment Corporation Act to entrust the functions of the Agricultural Marketing Corporation to the Agro-Investment Corporation and to repeal the Agricultural Marketing Corporation Act and to provide for connected matters be now read a third time. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? The ayes have it.
A bill entitled An Act to Amend the Agro-Investment Corporation Act to entrust the functions of the Agricultural Marketing Corporation to the Agro-Investment Corporation, to repeal the Agricultural Marketing Corporation Act, and to provide for connected matters read a third time and passed.
Madam Speaker, as there is no further business contemplated for the day, I now ask that the House be adjourned.
No other item approved on the agenda as at this time. There is none. It is not being taken today. So there is, as the House Leader indicated, no other item on the agenda.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As there is no further business contemplated for today, I now ask that the House be adjourned to Wednesday, May 26, that's tomorrow, at 2 p.m. The speakers in the sectoral debate tomorrow are Honourable Robert Montague, Member of Parliament, Western St. Mary and Minister of Transport and Mining, and Mr. Maurice Guy, Member of Parliament for Central St. Mary and Opposition Spokesperson on Health. So St. Mary will be featured tomorrow, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, House Leader. The House now stands adjourned until tomorrow, May 26.
Madam Speaker, on the motion of adjournment, I would like to make a short statement. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Minister Williams would like to make a short statement on the motion of adjournment. Yes. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Tomorrow, being Wednesday, May 26, just over 37,000 of our grade 6 students will be sitting the ability test. The exam will start at 9:05 a.m. and will end at 10:20 a.m., just about an hour and 15 minutes. 40 multiple choice questions, and we want to wish all our students the very best. We know that this past year has been very challenging. It's been quite different than they are used to, given that they've had to be in the remote/virtual environment for well over a year now. And as a result of that, we had to make changes to the exam, resulting in only the ability test being sat by our grade 6 students this year. We want to encourage our students, given that they're on the eve of the exam tomorrow, to go to bed early tonight, wake up early, and for those students who are taking the exams at very large centers, We want to encourage them to get there early. These large centers open from as early as 7:30 a.m. for registration. We also would like to encourage our children to have breakfast before they leave home, and for the parents to ensure that the students are at the location on time. Again, we want to wish all our students the very best. Do your best on the exam. We understand that this has not been a normal year, but at the same time, well over 37,000 of you registered to do the ability test exam, and it speaks to the resilience of our Jamaican children and the value, and parents, and the value that we have on education in this country. I know that the ability test is part of what goes into determining the next move for grade 6 students, which is the high school, grade 7, which is, hopefully, as we look forward into September, depending on how the pandemic continues its trajectory, we all have a hope that our children will be back in the face-to-face mode come September. It's not a prediction, but just a hope and a prayer that that will be so. So thank you, Madam Speaker, for that.
Thank you, Minister. Go ahead, Member Bromberg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On behalf of the opposition, I would also like to wish our students well who are preparing to do the PEP exam. I want to ask the parents who are normally probably more nervous than the kids themselves to take it easy, and be calm, to remember that all that can be learned for the exam has already been learned. Let me say to the students that your best is always good enough. That's the best you can do. And not to allow anyone to make you nervous. Relax tonight. Wake up early tomorrow. Stay relaxed. Look in the mirror and say to yourself, my best is good enough as you go out there. I heard the minister talk about September. I believe that we should be in a position, Minister, to assure our students that come September, we will do the best by them in terms of what is required for them for the continuation of their education. We also want to remind the students that although they have not had face-to-face, although online has been difficult, that they really have been learning. Sometimes we don't talk enough about that. They have been learning how to cope. They have been learning how to appreciate their parents and their friends. They have been learning how to rely on the village in raising that child. And as I said before, your best is always good enough. And today is the day, tomorrow is the day to remember that. Blessings.
Thank you, Member. We have no other business for the day, and as such, the House now stands adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. See you all tomorrow.
People at the center of Caribbean societies, with built-in resilience for water, food, and internet, opportunities to own, invest, and be masters of our fate, innovations to tackle inequality and poverty, improve public services, better lifestyles, and fewer of us suffering from non-communicable diseases. Join the conversation on putting people at the center of development in the Caribbean with Professor Avinash Prasad, Chairman of the CARICOM Commission on the Economy, fellow Commissioner Dr. Damien King, and Dr. Jani Remy, Deputy Director of the Shudaf Ramphal Center for International Trade Law, Policy and Services, on Thursday, June 3rd at 8 p.m. in Barbados, 7 p.m. in Jamaica. I'm your host, David Ellis, inviting you to tune into this station or online to hear how we can build a better Caribbean for everyone.
We're still learning more about these vaccines. We believe that they may reduce the number of persons who may have an infection, but it's possible from existing data that some persons may still harbor the virus, and so it's really important to continue to wear your mask, to physical distance, to stay away if you have symptoms in order to protect others. The vaccines alone will not be enough to gain control and to get back to a normal life in a short period of time. And so it's really important to use the vaccines as tools to complement our existing and current strategies for fighting this pandemic.
Happy birthday, Jason. I just wanted to tell you that I'm very proud of you. You're getting good grades in school, and at home you've really been helping me with the chores. I hope you have a great day. And I can't wait to give you your present tonight. Love always, Mom.
Teach your child the 6-step crossing code. Think first. Stop. Use your eyes and ears. Wait until it's safe. Cross when it's safe. Get across alive. A message from the Road Safety Unit in the Ministry of Transport and Mining.
Hello, Jamaica. My name is Patsy Edwards Henry.
I am Dr. Mindy Fitzenley.
I am Dr. Andrew Manning.
COVID-19 has wreaked havoc on our families.
Over 21,000 persons have been infected.
We now have a safe, effective COVID-19 vaccine.
I will take
the vaccine.
Vaccinate to stay safe.
This is an important message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
The new coronavirus, too small to see, spread quickly from person to person, town to town, and country to country, to all corners of the world. Any one of us can catch it, spread it, and get sick. When a person infected with coronavirus breathes, talks, coughs or sneezes, tiny droplets with millions of harmful viruses spread into the air and land on everything nearby. Without realizing, the viruses enter our body. We breathe them in. They land in our mouth, nose, and eyes. And we pick them up on our hands, then touch our eyes, nose, or mouth. In these ways, the viruses enter our body and infect us. Most people don't get very sick with coronavirus. We can have this virus and not know it, and easily pass it to others, who pass it to more people. In a few weeks, a whole neighborhood can get infected. Most people who get sick get better on their own, but some, especially the elderly, and people who already have illnesses, can get very sick and even die. Coronavirus spreads when people are close together. To protect ourselves and each other, we need to stay away from crowded and enclosed places and keep our distance. Wear a mask to protect others and ourselves. Keep our hands away from our face. Cover our cough or sneeze using our bent elbow. Wash our hands often and well with soap and water. And clean surfaces that are touched often with disinfectant to make them safe. All these actions can help stop the spread of coronavirus and keep ourselves, our family, and our communities safe. You can follow these actions and stay safe too.
Coronavirus is in Jamaica, and I know you feel scared and worried. But you can't let COVID-19 divide us. Coronavirus infects all kinds of people. It doesn't discriminate. So why should you? When someone coughs or sneezes or shows signs of the virus, tell them to call 888-1-LOVE immediately. And remember, stay 6 feet away, but don't attack or disrespect them, because we're all in this thing together. Come on, Jamaica. Cut the hate and don't discriminate. Let us stand together and fight COVID-19 as one family, one nation. Hi, I'm Chris Tufton, Minister of Health and Wellness. Vaccination has always been a critical part of protecting the health of our Jamaican people. The more of us who get vaccinated, the greater our chances of slowing the spread of COVID-19. The COVID-19 vaccine now available to Jamaica has met all the required safety and quality standards. I will take the vaccine, so let's vaccinate to stay safe.
The message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
We are advising persons that if they have had COVID, the disease, and it has been confirmed with a PCR or antigen test, then they do not need to take the vaccine until perhaps 4 to 6 months after they got the disease. Then they could take 1 dose of the vaccine, because that acts as a booster to the natural immunity that they developed after getting the disease. And that should protect you for a number of years.
For little people, it's a really big world. A big world to discover and explore. And because discoveries aren't always easy to understand, little people need help to make sense of the big world. So help them make sense of the world. When you CPG, do PG. The Broadcasting Commission, your partner for a new day.
These videos are intended to be used to complement the instruction of this subject, by classroom teachers as a teaching aid, by independent learners as a review tool, to enhance and improve the understanding of these topics, resulting in improved performance in CSEC examinations.
Water. Water everywhere. Rain falling, everywhere is wet, streams flowing, and this cool glass of water is quite refreshing. But how do we get this water from there to here for drinking? This presentation explores methods of water purification to make water potable. This process is carried out in Jamaica by our own National Water Commission.
Section 1. At the end of this presentation, you should be able to outline the role of water in life processes, in the home and in our surrounding environment. Identify sources of water. Explain the water cycle and its importance in providing a continuous supply of fresh water.
Water is one of the most important chemicals on Earth. Every living thing needs water to survive, whether they live in it or on dry land. Plants need water to survive also. People use water in many different ways. In the home, some examples of how water is used include cooking, mixing drinks, washing hands, washing dishes, laundry, cleaning, bathing, flushing toilets, and watering plants. Farmers water their crops to produce healthy growth, while firefighters use water to extinguish fires. In the book of Genesis, the water cycle is summarized where it is stated in chapter 2, verse 6, that a mist went up from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. Let's look more closely at the cycle of events as it relates to water. Where does all the rain go? 1. It falls to the ground and disappears. 2. It flows into rivers which take it to the lakes, seas, and oceans. Where and how do plants get water? Let's examine the series of events which occur during the water cycle. Water can exist in 3 states, depending on the temperature. When it is very cold, it hardens, solidifies, and freezes, forming ice sheet, hail, or snow. When it is at room temperature, it exists in the liquid state. When it is very hot, it goes into gaseous state or vaporize, forming water vapor. This is called evaporation. When water vapor is cooled down to room temperature, it returns to its liquid state. During the water cycle, it goes through all 3 states based on the temperature to which it is exposed. In the water cycle, high temperatures or heat is supplied by the sun. This drives evaporation, whether it is from water surfaces, animals, or plants. The sun also provides the energy which drives the weather system to move the water vapor